Sí, yo también, pero no, ¿qué va?
Por vocabulario se hace para el favor. Como nos jugamos de no he hecho nada.
Dijo que como a ti te parece mejor, si queréis tener un cuaderno aparte o tener una hojita, lo ves con otro vocabulario. Él no tenía como una regla definida.
Okay, so good evening. This is the objective today, which is students are capable of, which is this, right? Capable of, right? They're capable of giving, which is here, advice, which is there, okay? The last lesson, we were using would. For example, I would go to Jamaica, for example. I would go. In Spanish, like, I would go to Jamaica would be something like yo iría, right? A Jamaica. I would go. This is from the last lesson for you to remember, okay? Last lesson. I'm gonna write it down in red. Clase pasada, last lesson. I would go. Iría. I'm going to. Voy a ir, right? Hello. I have to go. Tengo que ir. Hello. I need to go. Necesito ir. I want to go. Quiero ir. Right? So this is from last lesson, right? From the last lesson. For example, we had some pictures. Hello? We had some pictures from, I remember they were from Hawaii, from Brazil, from Alaska, also from the United States, in New York, different pictures, right? So this will be introductions to talk about these cities, introductions. So I would go to Brazil, which is iría a Brasil, or I'm going to Brazil, voy a ir a Brasil, or I have to go to Brazil, tengo que ir a Brasil, I need to go to Brazil, necesito ir, I want to go, quiero ir, right? That's from the last lesson, okay? See? Last lesson. Today, the objective is different because we give advice, right?
profe.
Alright, I'm gonna write it down again. I'm gonna write it down again. ¿La voy a copiar de nuevo? We will have a parallel, so I'm gonna write it down again. Alright, so let's see last lesson, and we will make a difference versus today, okay? So when we're talking about today we give advice. We give advice. So when you give advice, you use some specific expressions. Example, you would say something like, you should, right? Or maybe it's a good idea. It's a good idea too, right? Or don't forget to. Don't forget to. Right? So they are pieces of advice, right? You should. It's a good idea too. Don't forget to. Why don't you? Why don't you? Right? Or simply just take. Right? You can see this on page in your book. That's on page 69, okay? Page 69, alright? So we have, do you want to, you could, right? You shouldn't. Here you can use the affirmative or the negative, right? This is the negative. And last lesson was I would, I have to, I need to, I want to, right, that kind of thing. Alright? So if you see they are different. In this case it's about me, right? It's about me. I say I will go, I have to go, I need to, I want to. So it's about me. But in this case it's about a third person. Do you understand third person? Third. 1, 2, and 3. Third. Come in. So when you say you should, come in. When you say you should, it's tú deberías, right? That's you should. Tú deberías, right? Or you shouldn't, tú no deberías. Hello. But this shouldn't is for a friend, right? For a friend, right? Because imagine you have, let's say your boss in the company. So your boss would say, you have to be, let's say, professional. So it means tú tienes que ser profesional. That's from your boss. You have to. But this is different. This is not an obligation. This is advice. Okay? Advice. Yeah, so to a friend, I would say you should go. Tú deberías ir, but it's advice. It's not an obligation. Do you understand? Yes. So when you say you should, advice. The same about this. If I say you have to do your homework, tú tienes que hacer tu tarea, that sounds like an obligation, an order. But in the case If I say imagine, I say it's a good idea to do your homework. You know, it's just advice. Es una buena idea hacer tu tarea. You know, it sounds relaxed, right? Relaxed. And for a friend, I would say. Hello. There you have the other one, which is don't forget to, right? Don't forget to, which is no olvides, right? For example, talking about the trips. Do you remember last lesson talking about Hawaii, New York, China, Japan, many different places? You can say, don't forget to take your passport, for example. No olvides llevar tu pasaporte. You see? Something related to traveling or to your trips. Why don't you? That's ¿por qué no? Right? For example, why don't you take a camera? ¿Por qué no llevas una cámara? Right? That's why don't you take. Take, this is, I would say, the basic, really basic thing, take. That's in Spanish, lleva. Right? Do you want to? So this is a question. ¿Quieres? For example, do you want to take an umbrella? ¿Quieres llevar un paraguas, for example? Or you could. Tú podrías. You could take an umbrella, right? So this is the way it works. So we have different, let's say, perspectives, right? Different perspectives. So let's talk about the question. I associate this. Where would you go? Right? Or where are you going to go? Etc. Right? Or what things would you take? Okay? So I associate these questions to this. Example. Where would you go if you had money? A lot of money, right? Millions. Where would you go? So maybe you say, I would go to Sydney, Australia. An example, right? Where would you go? I would go. Or where are you going to go? Right? So you can say, I'm going to go to Brazil. Right? That kind of thing. Or where would you go? You maybe can change the answer. I need to go. Right? Or what things would you take? ¿Qué cosas llevarías? I would take a tent. I would take a sleeping bag. I would take a flashlight. Do you remember the vocabulary in the book? That's on page, your vocabulary is on page 68, right? On page 68 you have the vocabulary. This question, what things would you take to Africa? So you can say, I would take a camera. I would take light clothes. Ropa ligera, that's light clothes. But here we have a different question. Alright, so the question associated to this would be this. What things should I take? ¿Qué cosas debiese o debería llevar? What things should I take? So, in that case, you say, you should, you shouldn't, it's a good idea, don't forget to, why don't you take, do you want to, you could. You see? So, these questions are associated to this, and this question is associated to this. Do you get it? Alright. So, we will practice with let's say, let's use numbers, okay? This is from the last lesson, number 1, and this is for today, number 2. La materia de la última clase, la materia de hoy. So we will practice number 1 and number 2, okay? So let's have a look at page 69 in this grammar advice and suggestions box. You have, what should I take? Should I take these shoes? You should take a hat. You shouldn't take high heels. You could borrow your dad's hat. Do you understand borrow? Borrow, pedir prestado. That's borrow.
High heels. What's the mean?
Sorry?
High heels.
High heels. That's taco alto. So you shouldn't take high heels. O sea, no deberías llevar tacos altos. For example, to the mountains, you shouldn't take high heels, right? You need to have warm clothes, which is ropa abrigadora or something. Then you have the questions there. Do you want to pack? Pack means empacar. Why don't you take a hat, right? It's a good idea to pack a jacket, take a flashlight, and don't forget to pack some batteries. So, flashlight, linter. So let's have a look at the activity there. It says complete the suggestions to someone going on these trips. So, page 69, right? Number 1, backpacking in Australia. Do you understand backpacking? No? It's when you go with a... This is a backpack.
No.
Right? Backpack. Because this is your bag, right? And you do like this. Right? Like this. So this is a backpack. And you go walking, maybe you, something like that. Because when you use your thumb like this, it's different. It's a different combination. But if you go, backpacking, you go with your bag. So it would be something like that, mochila, right? Similar, all right? So backpacking in Australia. So, example, I think you should take a lot of sunscreen. Number 2, it's a good idea too. What would you say? Now it's your time to speak. Ahora la idea es que hablen ustedes. It's a good idea too. You can use the vocabulary from page 68. Puedes usar el vocabulario de la página 68. Pero vamos haciéndolo enseguida, así como right now.
Juro que no veo nada. ¿Por qué allá? Pero aquí. Oye, tiene nada.
No, creo que sea eso, ¿cierto?
Sí, lo ocupó él, me dijo que me daban puesto y llegó y pasó.
Alright, so let's check. Let's check. Let's see page 69. 69, right? It's a good idea. I'm gonna erase it, okay? Okay, to take is a good verb. Llevar, hay que decir to take. To take tiene que ir. O pack. Es pagar.
Te dije
Borrow? I borrow. The same as sombrero. Okay, so let's have a look. This one. It's a good idea to take a sleeping bag. Perfect. So backpacking in Australia, it's a good idea to take. So very important. To take a sleeping bag. All right. Good example. This one. Maybe you should. Maybe you should what? Tal vez tú deberías. Maybe you should. Okay? Maybe you should take a towel. So this is important. You should take a towel. So when you say it's a good idea, you use to. Okay? But here, after should, no, you don't use to after should. Okay? If you say you should to take a towel, no, you should take a towel. All right? This is just memory. All right? You just memorize. All right. Number 2, a trip to Paris. Don't forget to Paris. What will you say? Don't forget. No, hay verbos que van siempre seguidos de una preposición. For example, when I say, I'm going to give you an example in Spanish. Pensar. Pensar en, right? Yo pienso en. O podría ser ir con, for example. So specific prepositions. When you say think in English, you say think of, think about. So when you say, for example, you say go to, right? But for example, when you say need, you say need to. It doesn't matter if it's a vowel or a consonant. You always say need to. right? Even if it's an action or an expression. I'm going to repeat it in Spanish. Hay verbos y expresiones fijas que siempre van seguidas de to. Okay? Como por ejemplo, you need to. Hello. It's a good idea to. Don't forget to. And that's it.
Why?
Because of, let's say, convention. Es una convención. Igual que cuando yo digo televisión. Televisión con color, televisión en color o televisión a color. A color. ¿Dónde sale eso escrito? En ninguna parte. Es una convención. Eso se llama una convención. Tiene cierto grado de arbitrariedad, pero el uso define. El uso. Entonces el uso define que yo tengo que decir televisión a color. Lo que les decía yo la vez anterior. ¿Cómo se llaman las películas que no tienen color? Se llaman películas blanco y negro. En alguna parte del currículum de educación básica, media, universitaria, dice que tiene que ir antes del blanco que el negro. Y yo no puedo decir televisión negro y blanco. ¿Dice en alguna parte? No, no lo dice. Y en ninguna parte dice que el blanco siempre va antes que el negro. No. ¿Qué es lo que es eso? Una convención que tiene cierto grado de arbitrariedad, pero que está dada por el uso. Todo el mundo dice televisión blanco y negro, ¿no? Si alguien dice, no, que yo tengo una televisión negro y blanco en mi casa, todos me van a quedar mirando. Entonces, es una convención. Don't forget to. That's it, right? Convention. So, number 2. Don't forget to. To?
To pack your camera.
Okay, to pack your camera. Good. To pack your camera. That's okay. To pack your camera. Why don't you? Anybody else? Why don't you, any? So, why don't you?
Bring.
¿Qué cosa? Ya, pero llevar, ¿cierto?
¿Por qué no te brings?
Sí, pero es que tendrías que llevarlo. Why don't you take?
¿No llevas un jugo?
Claro. Why don't you take, let's say, drinks? Y podría ser, entre paréntesis, OJ. That's orange juice. OJ. OJ, orange juice. Okay? So, why don't you take drinks? Bebidas. Brackets, OJ. Orange juice. Good. You could, tú podrías, so, any opinion, you could, thinking about Paris.
Take a map.
Hmm?
Take a map.
Very good. You could take a map. Very good. You could take a map. Perfect. Tú podrías llevar un mapa. Good. You could take a map. Let's have a look at a language course in Canada. So that's a different situation. You need to.
Un diccionario.
Okay, a dictionary. Good. So you need to, and what's the action? Llevar? A dictionary, but the action, la acción, llevar, take. You need to take or pack, cualquiera, llevar o empacar, a dictionary. So, you need to take a dictionary, or you need to pack a dictionary. It's okay. It's a good idea too. So, it's a good idea too. Thinking about a language course in Canada. What's a good idea? Anybody? Recuerden que lo mismo si se equivocan, esa es la gracia. Uno se equivoca, right? So, anybody? Find.
Una buena idea sería.
So it's a good idea to find a job or something like that. I don't know. What do you want to say in Spanish? Yeah, that's a dictionary. You need to take or pack a dictionary. Trabajo, control trabajo. Palabras, okay. To find words. Very good. To find, or in this case, buscar, I would say. To look for words. Sounds good. So it's a good idea to look for words. Perfect. You could. What would you say in that specific situation? So, you could.
¿Estudiar francés?
Okay. You could study French. Sounds
En
okay.
Canadá somos dos.
Yeah, in Canada you speak French and English, so you could study. Very good. You could study French. Perfect. You could study French. Sounds perfect. Good. Number 4, a hiking trip. Hiking involves a person walking, right? Walking, right? Maybe backpacking, right? By bus, right? So you have different, let's say, variations. Maybe you go walking, maybe you go by bus, or maybe you go hitchhiking. So hiking is when you go maybe to the mountains, to the south, to the north, walking or by bus or by car, but hitchhiking is different. In this case you do like this, right? That's hitchhiking. And hiking maybe by bus or maybe in a car, right? In a friend's car. Do you understand? This is like ir de excursión y I don't know how to say that. How do you say hacer dedo? Something like that? I don't know. Alright? So, think about the situation and tell me. You should probably think about this situation. And think about the vocabulary, right? We have vocabulary: towels, bathing suit, a brush, sandals, razor, hair dryer, pajamas, right? We have many things. So, what do you think about these situations? There we are again. So you should probably, but the complete action. You should probably, how do you say llevar?
Take.
Good. You should probably take a tent. Don't forget the action. No se olviden de la acción. You should probably take a tent. Remember, you can say take, llevar, pack, empacar, right? Maybe you shouldn't. Think about something which is negative. So, anybody? Anybody? Sorry? Zapatos con tacos. How do you say zapatos con tacos?
High heels.
High heels. Okay, so maybe you shouldn't take high heels. Perfect. Maybe you shouldn't take high heels. Sounds perfect. Sounds perfect. Good. And the last one, take. What would you say? Take. No? Lost? Okay. Anybody? What would you say in take? ¿Qué llevarías a una excursión a los Andes? Take. ¿Llevarías cámara, cámara de video, chaqueta, gorro, guantes? Sorry? A water bottle. All right. That's okay. A bottle of water sounds better. A bottle of water. Take a bottle of water. Sounds good. Sounds good. Perfect. Do you understand? Anybody? If you don't get it, the idea is that you can ask me, Christian, how do you say that in Spanish? Or can you repeat it in Spanish? So, do you understand? All these expressions are used when giving advice. I'm going to show you here. All these expressions are used when giving advice. Do you understand? Or you need Spanish? Spanish. So, how do you say that? ¿Cómo me dicen que repita en español? Do you? Okay, how do you say that in Spanish? Okay. All these are used when giving advice. Todas estas expresiones se utilizan cuando tú das consejo. Right? For example, when I ask you, I'm going to Africa. O sea, voy a ir a África. What things should I take? ¿Qué cosas debería llevar? Then you use these expressions. En ese caso utilizas estas expresiones. For example, imagine Africa, right? I say, I'm going to Africa. What things should I take? Entonces ustedes me dan consejo a mí y me dicen, you should take a camera, right? You shouldn't take warm clothes. Ropa abrigada, ¿para qué? Right? You could pack light clothes. Ropa ligera. You need to get a vaccination for dengue and all these kind of mosquitoes, right? Dangerous. Why don't you take a video camera, a handycam, for example? It's a good idea to, it's a good idea to go with friends, right? Take a sleeping bag and don't forget your passport. You see? So all these are, let's say, expressions to give advice. Expresiones para darte consejo. On the contrary, por el contrario, all these expressions, right? All these expressions from last lesson, todas estas expresiones de la clase anterior, eran para cuando yo iba a hacer algo, ¿se acuerdan? Cuando les mostraba las fotos y yo les decía, where would you go? ¿Dónde irías? Where are you going to go? Or where do you have to go? Y ustedes me decían dónde iban a ir y daban la razón, ¿se acuerdan? Y decíamos purpose. Entonces ustedes me podrían decir, I'm going to Puerto Rico, or I'm going to Brazil, I'm going to Venezuela. The reason, to see my relatives, to visit beautiful places, to learn from the culture. I need to go to the United States to learn English. You see? The reason, la razón. I have to go to Japan to sign a contract, para firmar un contrato, for example. I have to go to Japan to sign a contract. You see? Different situations, different expressions. Okay? Do you understand? Okay. So, let's have a look at some of the exercises here. here you have, we will listen to two different conversations, okay? First conversation is on page, this one on page 69. Is it big enough? ¿Está suficientemente grande? Is it big enough or you need it bigger? Bigger or it's okay? It's okay. All right. So let's listen to the conversation. Okay? So let's listen.
What's her mother's advice? Practice the conversation. Page 69. 2. Building language. A. Listen. Jenny's going on a camping trip. What's her mother's advice? Practice the conversation.
Jenny, maybe you should take some insect repellent. Oh, and take a flashlight. And don't forget to pack some spare batteries. Why don't you take my jacket? It's a good idea to have something warm. Now, you need to take a hat. You could borrow your dad's, but don't lose it. Oh, and Jenny, do you want to pack some other shoes?
I'm sorry, Mom. Did you say something? I can't hear you with my headphones on.
So do you understand the situation? Yeah, she's wearing, Jenny is wearing headphones, right? A problem. She's wearing headphones. But you see, this is a big amount, una gran cantidad, a big amount of advice, right? Many different, let's say, expressions. You see, maybe you should take some insect repellent. Take a flashlight. Advice number 2. Don't forget to pack some spare batteries. What's a spare? Do you know spare? It's additional. As a backup. Now you need to take a hat. Another piece of advice. You could borrow your dad's. Pedir prestado de tu padre. Don't lose it. Right? So you see a lot of things. Let's listen to this conversation now. If you see, here we have some suggestions, but we have something new, algo nuevo. The new thing is the way you answer, the way you respond. Do you understand? The way you respond, la manera en que respondes. For example, if you feel okay with the invitation, you say like this. That's a great idea. That sounds great. I love to. You see, that's a great idea. Es una gran idea. That sounds great. Suena genial. I'd love to. Me encantaría. In the case you don't like it, cuando no te gusta, I guess we could, but supongo que podríamos, pero, and then you give an excuse. I don't know. No sé. That's no, right? I'd like to, but me gustaría, pero. So it's similar to Chile, right? Because in Chile what you do is if you get an invitation, something like, let's go to the movies, to the cinema. Maybe you say, oh, I'd like to, but I have to work, right? So it's kind of a polite way, do you understand polite?
Yes.
Es cortés. A polite way to say no, right? Because if someone tells you, let's go to the cinema, you don't say no. I don't like the cinema. No. Or I don't want to go with you. O no quiero ir contigo. No, it's not. It's not typical. No es típico de Chile eso. So what you would say is, I'd love to, but I have to work. or I have to study, right? So this is similar, okay? Similar thing. All right, let's listen to this conversation, okay? So we have this one. 26.
Page 70. Lesson C. That's a great idea. 1. Conversation strategy. Responding to suggestions. A. Now listen. What would Chris like to do? What does Adam think?
You know, we should take a few days off sometime. Yeah, we should. Definitely. We could go to Mexico or something. That's a great idea. We could even go for a couple of weeks. Well, maybe. I guess we could, but, you know, we could just quit our jobs and maybe go backpacking for a few months. Well, I don't know. I'd like to, but I guess I need to keep this job. You know, to pay for school and stuff. Yeah, me too, I guess.
All right. So here you have an invitation and a response. So let's have a look at these questions. Who really wants to go hiking? Chris or Adam? Chris. Who means quién, right? Who really wants to go? Chris, right? Here you have some options, you see? Here you have, we should go hiking together sometime, right? And here we have some options, you see? That sounds like fun, suena divertido. Well, I'd like to, but me gustaría, pero I guess we could. Supongo, that's I guess, remember. But we could maybe, right? Good. Let's have a look at the activity here. So, let's see, here we have numbers with invitations, letters with responses. Tell me, number 1, you should come skiing with me sometime. And the answer is, oh, I'd love to. Are you a good skier? So, number 2, why don't we go somewhere on Sunday? What's the answer, the response? A, B, C, D, E, or F? D? I'd like to, but I already have plans. Okay, let's have a look. Number 3, we could go camping together sometime. What's the answer? We could go camping. So this is a key word, palabra clave, key word, camping. So what's the answer? Anybody? Maybe? What?
I don't have a tent.
Though. Very good. Maybe. I don't have a tent though. O sea, tal vez, aunque no tengo carpa, right? So it's related to camping, you see? That's why it's a keyword. Let's see number 4. Let's go traveling in Asia next year. So what's the answer? Okay, I guess we could. Where is Asia? Asia. I guess we could. Where is Asia? Perfect. The complete sentence? I guess we could. Supongo que podríamos. ¿Dónde está Asia? Good. Number 5. We should go to Paris to see the Louvre. That's a museum, famous museum, right? Okay, that's a great idea. How's your French? Perfect. Number 6. Why don't we go to Australia sometime? What? Alright, good. I don't know, it's kind of far. You see, so we have ways of inviting or suggesting, maneras de invitar o sugerir, ways of inviting or suggesting, and ways of answer, right? Y maneras de responder, right? The ways you answer something, all right? So, the idea now is, let's think about Santiago, all right? Let's think about Santiago, all right? And let's think about places to visit and all that thing, right? So in Santiago, what things do we have in Santiago? Like, let's say entertainment. Let's talk about entertainment. Entertainment. What else do we have related to entertainment? The theater, good. The theater. Theater. American people would say theater. British people say theater. American theater. Study? Yeah, but the place? Estudiar. A stadium. 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 Very good. Any other?
Park.
Parks. What else do we have? The cinema. We also have museums. We have museums. We have art galleries. Art galleries. Yeah, so we have hills. Concerts. Yeah, museums, concerts. We have cafes. Yeah, cafe, right? You also have the cafe and restaurants. Yeah, that's a restaurant. Okay. This is a cafe, okay? How do you call this thing downstairs with people in Spanish? I mean, in Spanish they say casino. How do you say that in English? Because in English, when you say casino, you play poker. You play poker or the slot machines where you put a coin and you go with a handle and you get a lot of money. But that's a casino. So what's casino? Yeah, cafeteria. That's the word in British English. British English is cafeteria. Cafeteria, that's the British form. And the American way is coffee shop. Okay, so a cafeteria is where you can get a hot dog and maybe a hamburger and maybe a chocolate bar. And this is British and this is American. The United States, England. USA. USA. England. Alright? Good. So, think about an invitation. Invite an imaginary person. Now real people. And then I'm going to pick up a person. Pick up is escoger. And this person responds or answers. Do you understand? You just make up an invitation. Haz una invitación. Just an imaginary person, and then I pick up a person, yo cojo una persona, and that person answers the invitation, alright? You can say yes, or you can say no. You can say, oh, I'd love to, or maybe you can say, I don't know. That's okay, right? From the book, remember that in the book, you have, can I have your book? here you have the phrases to say yes, and here you have the phrases to say no, right? Here. To say yes, to say no. Okay, so invitations, please. Let's have a look at the time. This is English. Okay, invitations. So, an invitation. An invitation. There you have a lot of invitations. Yes, an invitation. You have many ways. Let's go to why don't we go, maybe we should go. También, pero suena un poco duro. Porque como quieres ir, it should sound something like, would you like to go? Yeah, it sounds better. Suena mucho más duro que lo otro. A un amigo que le podría decir así. Por ejemplo, amigos de universidad que están hablando juntos. Do you want to go there? Okay. But if you're talking to a, I don't know, to a colleague at work, maybe your boss, you don't say, do you want to go there? No. You say, would you like to go to the, you know, to a bar or something? That sounds better.
Como el río.
¿Cómo era?
Cuando se dice verdaderamente algo, así como really y algo. No cuando se dice no, exactamente.
Claro, exacto. Suena muy directo. So, the invitation? Would you like? Would you like? Would you like? Así mira. Would you like? Would you like to? Okay. Would you like to go to a birthday party? Okay. Your baby's party, right? Good. So that's invitation. Would you like to go to my baby's party? Okay. You see, a baby. Do you understand? Good. So what would be your answer? Imagine that invitation, what would you say? No. The invitation is open. Don't associate the invitation to a person. The invitation is, would you like to go to my baby's party? What do you think? No. The way you answer. Respondiendo con cualquiera de esas. O sea, si quieres ir, eso, si no tienes eso. La pregunta es, would you like to go to my baby's birthday party? O sea, ¿te gustaría ir a la fiesta de cumpleaños de mi bebé? That's the question. So, what would be your answer? Okay, only with gifts. Huh? Okay, I like to, but I have to study. Perfect. An invitation. An invitation.
Cool. ¿Puedo analizar?
Okay.
Would you like to cinema?
Okay. Would you like to go to the cinema? Sounds good. Would you like to go to the cinema? What would be your answer to that invitation? Would you like to go to the cinema? Would you like to go to the cinema? These are to say yes and to say no.
I did like to working.
Okay, I'd like to, but I have to work. Or but I work. Right? No work. I have to work. Tengo que trabajar. Porque working es estoy trabajando. Good. Sounds perfect. Let's see here. An invitation, please.
No, would you like to after office?
Okay. Would you like to go to our after office? Okay, that sounds good. Claro, hacer algo. To go out, salir. To go out after office. Good. Let's see, anybody. What would be your answer? Would you like to go out after office? Ahí tienen abajo las que para sí y las para no. So, I love to. Okay, sounds okay. Me encantaría. Sounds nice. I love to. Yeah, I love to. Sounds good. Sounds good. I love to. Perfect. Perfect. Invitation. Sorry, an invitation. Okay. Would you like to go eating chorrillana, which is the same in Spanish? Would you like to go eating chorrillanas? Sounds good. So, what would be your answer in your case? That's a great idea. Sounds perfect. You see? Good. How about you there? An invitation. Would you like to go to a restaurant? Sounds good. Would you like to go to a restaurant? What would be your answer? Yes, I'd like to. Very good. Yes, I'd like to. Sounds good. Sounds good. Do you understand the idea? But it's not necessary to say, would you like, would you like, would you like? No. You can use different expressions. You can say, let's go. For example, let's imagine the restaurant. You can say, let's go to the restaurant. Why don't we go to the restaurant? I would like, or would you like to go to a restaurant? So you have many variations. Do you understand? Hay más variantes, no solo would you like. Están todas en su libro.
¿Cómo se dice tengo que pensarlo?
I'll think it over. Hay una frase específica para eso. I'll think it over.
I will.
I'll think it over. I'll think it over. All right.
¿Cómo sería en ese caso el over? ¿Qué está representando ahí? Como ya lo
Es
pensaré.
como volver a pensar. Volver. Over es volver. Como repensar. An invitation in your case.
Voy a anotar.
An invitation. Okay, would you like to go to? ¿Dónde? Okay, would you like to go to a park? Good. So, what would be your answer? Would you like to go to a park?
I don't know.
I don't know. Good. You see? You can say I don't know and that's perfect. An invitation. Recuerda que no tiene que ser necesariamente would you like. Ahí salen varias, mira. Ahí, varias. Puede ser, let's go to the park. Why don't we go to the park? It's a good idea to go to the park. You see, different variations. So,
Let's go. Look.
let's go to a club. Perfect. Let's go to a club. Good. So, what would be your answer? Let's go to a club.
Pero como un grupo.
No, que no, sin asociar a ninguna persona. Just claro, una persona te dice, let's go to a club. What would be your answer? Yes, I'll go. Yeah, that sounds okay. Yes, I'll go. Sounds good. Sounds good. Perfect. An invitation?
Would you like to drink pizza?
Okay, would you like to drink a picture? Sounds good, sounds good. So who's left here? Would you like to drink a picture? What would be your answer?
Bien helado, bien helado.
So?